Welcome back to another newscast from Wolf News.
Today we'll be discussing armor and weapons.
Yes, we will, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually a very fascinating topic. Let's start with armor.
Armor was mostly worn by knights to shield them in battle. It was also used to protect war animals. And not only that, but the armor was used to help define them as a military unit.
There are two types of armor that were used in the Middle Ages, chainmail and plate.
Chainmail is made up of interlocking iron rings which has been welded shut together. It has been specifically designed from protecting the wearer from getting slain by a blade.
On the other hand, plate armor was made up of large plates sewn onto a leather or textile coat. A full suit of plate armor consisted primarily of 10 pieces. Unlike chainmail, plate is made specifically to protect the wearer in heavy combat battles.
Armor was mainly used by people that were in higher classes. It was also used for jousting.
If you don't know, jousting is a sport where two knights on horses charge at each other with huge lances. The object is to knock the other person off their horse.
And by the way, the maximum weight of a jousting armor is 50 kilograms, or 110 pounds.
Before we move on to weapons, we have a couple people who want to call in with their questions about armor.
All right, who's our first caller, Maggie?
Our first caller is Ella from Boston, Massachusetts.
Ella, we're ready for you.
Thanks for having me. My question is, how much did it cost to make this armor?
That's a great question. Armor in the Middle Ages was actually pretty expensive to make. That's why only princes and rich nobility could afford it.
Thank you, Ella.
No, thank you for having me.
Our next caller is Henry from San Francisco, California. Hello, Henry.
Hi, I was wondering, was this armor comfortable to wear?
I'll answer this one. Medieval armor was pretty comfortable. It was cushioned on the inside to protect the wearer from impacts, but was also put for comfortability.
Those were our callers for armor. Now we move on to weapons.
Weapons were used to inflict pain on another person.
Weapons also range from simple melee to heavy artillery.
Weapons were used mostly by knights and archers. Training for these weapons were given by the lords. Lords were wealthy landowners, in which parts of the land were shared by the king to the lords. So in return, the lords promised to fight to defend the king.
Young boys at age 7 started training to become knights and became knights at age 21.
All women could not become knights or learn to fight in combat.
Some weapons that were used for close combat were long swords, broadswords, short swords, katanas, halberds, clubs, maces, and daggers.
Some far-range weapons are longbows, crossbows, ballistas, broadswords, short swords, shurikens, slings, spears, hand cannons, bombards, catapults, and muskets.
Of course, there are many other weapons. We are just naming a few primaries.
The reason they had all these weapons was because this period of time was a very violent time. After all, there was a lot of war during this time.
All right, it's time for our first caller, David from Baltimore, Maryland.
Hi guys, I was wondering what most weapons are made of.
Okay, what weapon do you want to know about?
Oh, I want to know about swords and bows.
Swords in the Middle Ages were made of reinforced copper, bronze, iron, and steel.
Bows were made in two parts. A strip of flexible material, such as wood, was linked at the two ends with a cord or string to form a tension from which drives the arrow.
Thanks.
I think we have just enough time for one more caller. Anne from Washington, D.C. What is your question, Anne?
Hey guys, my question is, what is a ballista? You talked about it before.
A ballista is basically an oversized crossbow. The origin of the language is Latin, and the word ballista means throw. It was used to launch a large projectiles at a distant target.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks today to our callers, Ella, Henry, David, and Anne.
This is a medieval broadsword, used for heavy combat.
This is a set of chainmail armor.
This is a set of plate armor.
Now it looks like we're just about out of time. This is Ryan and Maggie signing out.